With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Now on the Mo Kelly Show, it's Tiffany Hobbs, the viral load.
She'll speak of all the viral things social media can bring.
Facebook, Insta, X, TikTok, the viral load with Tiffany Hobbs. Viral load, viral load, the viral load.
Viral load with Tiffany Hobbs.
KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. That's right. It's time for Tiffany Hobbs and the viral load.
Yes, it is. The very first story, Mo, is one that is upsetting. And it's not just upsetting to me. I think for a lot of our listeners, it will be upsetting to hear about because it involves fat shaming. And you might be saying, what is fat shaming? Well, it's a type of body shaming or critique of a person's shape based on their weight. And you hear the first part of it, the word fat, which then talks about or implies someone being overweight. At least that's the perception of the people using this new app. And this app is called the Chubby Filter. It's it's less of an actual app and more of an addition to the TikTok app. And so what it is you go on social media, and with social media, you have a lot of apps available to you to change your appearance. You can do things like slim yourself down, maybe give yourself more hair, remove hair, whatever it is you want to do. There's all sorts of body modification apps. Well, this one works in reverse. It actually adds weight to the user, and it's called the Chubby Filter. It is a generative AI tool that is from the editing app CapCut. People use it and then upload themselves to TikTok. You take a picture of yourself, you run it through this filter, and it tacks on 40, 50, 100 pounds, and you get to see what you would look like at a heavier weight. Now, as innocuous as this may seem, it has been used in harmful ways. And what's happening online is that people aren't just using it and looking at themselves and imagining what they could look like if they're heavier. No, of course not. This is social media. And the best thing about social media for some people is to make fun of others. And that's what people are doing with this app. They're taking themselves or running themselves through the filter. They're producing a heavier picture or version of themselves. And then they joke that they should stop eating so much. Or they use the new picture to motivate themselves to get in the gym and get their summer body ready. But it's all at the expense, again, of people who are, in fact, heavier or overweight. And the population of people who say, I am overweight, they're really offended by this because people are taking this filter and they're essentially poking fun at what people are really dealing with in reality.
I don't know about reality, but I just don't see the whole allure of using a filter to make yourself fatter and how that's funny.
It shouldn't be. And here's the thing. Again, you can imagine yourself through AI with a new haircut, with the new body style. There's all these applications and modifications that you can partake in. But when you use something that is generative AI like this, you make yourself heavier and then you use it to admonish, to poke fun at, to punch, I don't want to say down at, but to punch at people who are heavier. It's offensive. And when people speak out about it, you shouldn't be surprised. So you have a whole group of people who are enjoying this app, thinking it's fun. They're posting their pictures and then they're going viral. And then you have the backlash that's going viral as well with people saying, no, not cool at all. You should take this down. There's actually another app that's floating around as well that has to do with Down syndrome. And a lot of people have been using this app, and they've been running their pictures through it.
No, they're not.
Producing a picture of themselves, imagining that they have Down syndrome, and posting it online for likes and shares. And it is just cruel. And it's going viral.
What's wrong with people?
The internet reveals, I would say, the best and the worst of humanity. For the second story, this story is a lot more heartwarming than the first. It's a little funny, too. When you are getting ready to have a baby, or if you're like me, you're getting ready to get another dog, hopefully in the future one day, what comes to mind is, what are you going to name it? What are you going to name it? Parents go through this. It is a big source of conversation. What are you going to name your kid? And then what is that name going to produce? If you name a kid something that is powerful, will your kid be powerful? If you name your kid something that is different than that, what kind of child will you have? That question is going viral. And there's one mom who especially went viral because she gave her son an outdoorsy name, but she says he's been anything but. Go for it, Steph.
Do you ever regret what you named your kid?
That would be me. Not only did I regret it, we just changed his name when he was 18 months old. So here's the story. When I was pregnant with my second, I thought, wow, my eldest son, outdoorsy boy. My husband, outdoorsy boy. Surely this child will have the soul of like a river rafting tour guide. So when we were looking for names, I went into Pinterest and I typed in outdoorsy boy baby names. And we settled on the name Aspen because we're like, that's a cool name. And it is a super cool name for someone else. Because my boy, he gets car sick in the Chick-fil-A drive-thru. He gags at the thought of a blueberry. On his first birthday, he lost his ever-loving mind when his toe touched his cake. He loves air conditioning and sitting down. And at 6 years old, loves being held by his mom. Still, constantly. And whereas most kids have like a stuffed animal or a blanket that they've really enjoyed their whole life, he has a comfort mole. This one right here.
On her chest.
And we'll just love on it. But he's just a little light. He's just the sweetest little boy. So we chose a name that means light, which is Luke. And he may never guide river rafting tours, but he will for sure be in a very comfortable location, being just as sweet as he can be. And I love him so much.
That's the voice of Jen Hamilton. She is a labor and delivery nurse talking about her son, formerly named Aspen, and now his name is Luke, which means light.
Wait.
Yes.
The kid was originally named Aspen.
Yes.
And for that, you should get your ass whooped right there. Okay.
It's a nice name. Everyone named Aspen listening is very upset with you right now.
That's okay. Take it out on your mama. Okay. That was her mistake. Look, my name is Morris. Okay. And I'm still mad about that. So, okay. Fair is fair. I know of what I speak. But the kid was named something and then she changed the child's name midstream.
Well, not full. Yes, kind of. But wait, he was a toddler, so he didn't know his name.
It doesn't matter. She changed the child's name based on his personality.
Well, and that is what is going viral. Mo.
Tawala, did you get a chance to change your name? I don't think so. Stephanie, did you get a chance to change your name?
He didn't even give Tawala a chance to answer.
I know the answer. He didn't get a chance to change his name because he and I have this conversation all the time. Mark Ronner, did you ever get a chance to change your name?
I would have changed it to Morris.
True story. When I was growing up, there was a point where I think I was maybe 4 or 5 years old. I told my mother, just call me Steve. It's just easier that way.
That's not better.
No, my point is,
sorry to all the Steves.
I would have been ridiculed less in my mind. And I know Aspen, if he would have grown up with that name, he would have gotten his ass whooped. So might as well take it out on mom.
Aspen. There you go.
Ass whooping.
And now he's Luke, which means light. And that's what's going viral. What do you do about a name that doesn't fit your child? Do you change it? Do you keep it? If you're Mo, you change it to Steve.
No. That's what I did. That's why I started going by my middle name, William or Will, or got shortened to Mo. But Morris, see, back in the day, it was Morris the cat, the commercials. There was a book called Morris the Moose Goes to School. And then in my teen years, it was Morris Day in the Time. And then not until I got to be like 25, 30, did this handsome actor come along called Morris Chestnut. And then all of a sudden, the name was great, but it was too late for me.
Well, you know what it's not too late for? How about this? Later on Steve Kelly, in the next segment, we're going to talk about...
Later? Who the hell is Steve?
Steve Kelly.
Oh, my goodness.
Steve Kelly. Later...
The show is not Later with Morris Kelly.
Later with Steve-O Kelly, we're going to talk about McDonald's and why they're going viral.
McDonald's! KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. Mark, you're half black man. Where does that come from? McDonald's!
I don't remember.
You better know.
Oh, come on. Every black person knows where that comes from.
Rhymes with...
We gonna get McDonald's.
Oh, it's Eddie Murphy.
There we go.
That's from one of the concert videos,
yes.
Right? Delirious, maybe?
Raw.
Okay, well, I get the two mixed up. So I only half passed.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Time for the Viral Load with Tiffany. Live on KFI's Later with Mo Kelly. She'll talk about the topics on social media. The Viral Load with Tiffany Hobbs.
KFI AM 640. It's Later with Mo Kelly, not to be confused with Steve. If you were listening last segment, you know what I mean. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Take it away. Tiffany, what was your alternative name growing up?
Steve.
No,
Steve.
I wanted to
go by Steve. It just has a nice ring to it.
You trying to clown me now?
I would never do that, Steve. Back to me, Steve. Okay, Steve, here we go. So Steve, are you listening?
Stefan, go ahead and turn off her mic at any time.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
What's wrong? I can't hear you, Tiffany.
Steve.
Yell a little louder.
Steve, look over here.
Maybe you'll be able to catch it in my mic. Go ahead and turn it off. Yell louder.
When you were younger, Steve. Okay, I'll stop. When you were younger, did you ever have your birthday party at McDonald's?
McDonald's? No.
McDonald's. I did. And it was my 10th birthday. And I found a $5 bill under the slide. And I thought I had made it. It was the best birthday ever. Core memory unlocked. $5 bill. This story isn't about me finding a $5 bill as much as it is about you spending $990 should you choose to have a birthday party for your child at McDonald's. Now, $990 is steep, sounds steep.
It has like the play area?
That's the play area.
Okay.
And I'll get to what it included. But McDonald's has a social media feed. They have a social media manager, and they posted a post that left lots of people confused. The post was shared on March 20th, just a few days ago, and it promoted the return of their popular McDonald's children's birthday party. It was detailed in the ad that for $990, you can give your child or children, quote, the best party of their life. Now, I can say I had a great one when I was 10. It was far below $990. However, McDonald's made a mistake. They didn't mean to post that ad, and they quickly deleted that ad from March 20th because someone caught the mistake. And what it was is that for $990, parents, caregivers could get a party package that included games, activities, 2 hours of party time in the play place with that tubing.
Yeah.
10 Happy Meals and 10 vanilla ice cream cones, assuming their ice cream machine was operable. Now, if you do the math, 10 Happy Meals, 10 ice cream cones, a couple of games, 2 hours of party time, you're really looking at a little under $200, not $990. So this post was up. Parents were confused. People were saying the math is not mathing. And that's when McDonald's took it down. But they had already gone viral. And what was found out is that they posted $990, but they didn't mean $990 US. they meant 990 in another country's denomination.
Sure they did.
And they went viral, even though they made a mistake. And now they're having
990 pesos?
$990. What they were saying is that it was for a Caribbean nation, and that Caribbean nation's currency was actually, if you convert it to US dollars, closer to about $150.
Man, no way.
Yes, man. Yes, Steve.
Ma, I want to stop and get some McDonald's. She go, I got hamburger meat at home.
Yes. So McDonald's is in the news for going viral off of a mistaken and now viral post. Surprise, surprise. For our final story, there is a phenomenon, at least that's what they say, that is phenomenon, which is sweeping the world. This is for all of you women specifically who are of a certain age, north of 40, maybe in your 50s, maybe in your 60s and up. There are new parties called early birds parties. They're early birds club parties, and they aim to provide a space for women in their later ages to dress up and have fun without the pressures and anxieties younger women put on themselves in the club scene. It's a place that's being said that will allow middle-aged women to party within reason. Here's what the reason includes. Doors open at 6 p.m. and they close around 10 p.m. I hate that you're all laughing.
I just heard within reason. That killed me. 10 p.m. But it is kind of true, because if I don't leave the house by 7 o'clock, I'm not leaving
You're
the house.
done. You're lucky I'm here right now. And then also the music will be nostalgic hits from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. And here's the kicker. This is completely women only. There are no men allowed, because these women in the Early Birds Club at this party scene say men just complicate things. They make things a lot less fun, put a lot of pressure on the scene.
Just call it a gay club. Don't try to dress it up with all this stuff. If it's a party where only women are allowed, call it what it is.
From 6 to 10.
It's 2025, all right? Just be you, but don't try to be stupid and try to lie to us. If you have a club where it's only women, okay,
it's only presumptuous
women.
Of you, Steve.
Look, I've been to a gay/lesbian club when I was working in the music industry. I know what it's like, all right? So when you're trying to say that it's only for women, it is what it is.
You're saying this is a front for a different type of lifestyle.
You got that right.
It's not being marketed as that. It's being marketed, of course, as, again, a place
for Mark,
middle-aged women enjoy themselves.
Mark, let's call ourselves middle-aged for the sake of this conversation. If we had a party that we set up, which is only for men between 6 and 10 p.m., with the exception of a fight party, what would you think that was? That we're going to dress up for, okay?
Careful.
You got to turn on your mic. I understand how it goes.
Sorry, I was multitasking. You know we're on the radio, right?
Yeah.
So there's no way I'm going to give you a completely honest answer to anything that you're answering.
But you understand what I'm getting at, right?
Tell me what you're getting at, Mo. Steve.
That's what I'm getting at.
Oh.
As long as it ends at 10.
I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna let myself get
Let's soaking wet. It's raining, man. I'm sorry. Go ahead,
there is something to this about the older demographic wanting to do stuff earlier. When I was in grad school for a period of time, I worked at a video store, and old men would come in and rent porn VHSs in the morning. But that's not the worst part. They would return them later in the morning.
Maybe they were done with them.
Well, yes. And when they forgot to rewind them, you could tell pretty much exactly when they were done with them.
Oh, that's heartwarming.
I know.
Or something like that.
That's the end of the viral load. I got nothing else.
It's later with Mo Kelly. We have a Mel Gibson update when we come back. What you got there, Stephanie?
No, I was going to say, but regardless of whether it's a gay club, female club, male club, at the end of the night, everyone is doing this.
I want to stop and get some McDonald's.
We're gonna get some McDonald's. Was that raw or delirious?
It was raw. You guys
It was
were right.
raw?
Yeah, it was raw.
All right. KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Oh, later with Mo Kelly on KFI AM 640.
Live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. And I often talk about the idea of cancel culture. In fact, I'll talk about it again in my final thought next segment. I talk about it as an idea because I really don't think it's real. We talked about Mel Gibson last night with the prospect or possibility coming on the show as far as what questions do you ask someone, what questions shouldn't you ask someone. And I say, hey, you should talk about whatever is relevant to the conversation, and you shouldn't shy away from anything. Mel Gibson is a person who is very open and honest about his beliefs, his religious beliefs, his political beliefs. He's working on the recall recall Gavin Newsom campaign. He is very active in a political sense now, and I'm actually all for that, if only because I believe in artists, be it actor, musician, entertainer, athlete, expressing themselves, because not only are they their professions, they're also Americans, they're also people, they have families, they have beliefs which usually supersede their professional careers. I am okay with all of that. Mel Gibson has had some personal issues in previous years, which is a part of his larger story. And part of his larger story is also connected to the art in which he creates. He did Passion of the Christ, and now it's been announced that he's going to be it's actually been confirmed that he's moving forward on the Resurrection of the Christ, which will be the sequel to Passion of the Christ more than 20 years later. Listen to what Mel Gibson had to say. This was a few months ago when he was on with Joe Rogan, specifically talking about this.
When you put something like that together, how do you choose who's going to be the next Jesus?
You use him again.
Caviezel.
Yeah, I know it's 20 years later. It's 20 years later, but it's...
Yeah, but it's the right guy.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be 3 days later, but he got 20 years older. And I think I have to use a few techniques that they've started to get really good with
the CGI. And they can do amazing things now.
You can actually... get some of the same people.
And by the time you film it, it'll be even better.
Yeah.
When are you going to start filming?
I'm hoping next year sometime. There's a lot required because it is, I'll just tell you this, it's an acid trip when we wrote it. It is.
Huh? I don't think of the Resurrection of Christ being akin to an acid trip, but hey, it's not my movie.
When we wrote it, it is like, I've never read anything like it. And my brother and I and Randall all sort of congregated on this. So there's some good heads put together, but there's some crazy stuff. And I think in order to really tell the story properly, you have to start with the fall of the angels, right?
Yeah.
Which is you're in another place. You're in another realm.
He's not wrong, but he seems kind of out there.
Yeah.
Which is you're in another place. You're in another realm. You need to go to hell. You need to go to Sheol.
So you're going to have hell? You're going to have Satan? All that?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Sure, you got to have,
Right.
You got to have his origin.
How do you depict that?
I never thought of Jesus having a superhero origin story, but that's basically what they're talking about.
This is a good question. And I think I have ideas about how to do that.
Sounds like concepts of a plan, but that's just me.
I have ideas about how to do that. And ideas about how to evoke things and emotions in people from the way you depict it and the way you shoot it. So I've been thinking about it for a long time. So it's not going to be easy, and it's going to require a lot of planning. And I'm not wholly sure I can pull it off, to tell you the truth. It's really super ambitious. but I'll take a crack at it.
Here is my real point, because I want to talk about this within the construct of cancel culture and also race swapping of characters. I bet you there will not be a mumbling word said about Jim Caviezel playing someone from the Middle East as Jesus in 2025. And the people who love Mel Gibson the most were probably the loudest in opposition to Anthony Mackie playing Captain America, who is a fictitious character and is actually part of the source material. I'm just saying, I realize these things are happening in the same time and space. I think of myself as different than most people. I'm cool with both. I don't care about either because I personally don't get caught up in that, but I love pointing it out because we're in a time where all this is so very damn important. Jim Caviezel is going to be playing Jesus again. How do I know this? Because Mel Gibson said so. And no one's going to say anything. And if you happen to know anything about Mesopotamia or Egypt or the people from the region of that time, it's not Jim Caviezel. Okay, so if we want to talk about historical accuracy, that's fine. Just know that this is not that. And I'm not trying to give Mel Gibson a hard time. I'm just highlighting the point that people always want to have it both ways. They want to get mad at Disney and saying Snow White is supposed to be this fictional character, but you can't have a half white, half Latina actress playing Snow White, but Jim Caviezel is Jesus. That's fine. You can't have it both ways. Actually, when I talk about this in my final thought, I'm good with both. And I'll tell you why. I'm just pointing out that we need to pick one or the other. It just can't be both.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And before we get out of here, I kind of tipped off what my final thought would be. But I've been thinking about this for the better part of a couple weeks, and I haven't been able to really string my words together. I think I'm there now. But it's weird to me how we always wanted to have it both ways. I'm all about consistency and principle. But we want to have it both ways. We don't want politics in sports, but expect teams to visit the White House and take pictures with the president and are fine with the president showing up to wrestling matches, UFC, the Daytona 500, and the Super Bowl, just for an example. We want to have it both ways. We supposedly don't want entertainers talking politics, but we elect a TV game show host as president twice. We complain about the supposed cancel culture, but we also never miss a chance to root for the failure of every Disney movie, review bombing and boycotting because we think Disney movies are, quote unquote, too woke. It's weird to me, and that's the only word I can think of. Strange, weird, whatever. It's weird how Snow White supposedly shouldn't be played by a half Latina, half Polish woman, but Noah can be played by an Australian Russell Crowe. Remember that? I do. Nobody said a mumbling word. I mean, outside of me. Christian Bale can play Moses. Joel Edgerton can play Ramses, the Egyptian pharaoh. Remember all the outrage over those roles and portrayals? That's okay, neither do I. It's strange how we complain about music artists and their politics. That is, unless we agree with them. We mentioned Snoop Dogg earlier in the show. It works both ways. He received all sorts of backlash for performing at the second Trump inauguration. This was after him calling black artists who performed at the first Trump inauguration sellouts. Now, many in the African American community want to call Snoop the sellout for performing at a Trump inauguration. We are a weird bunch. We're fine with artists, entertainers, sports figures espousing their politics just as long as we agree with them. People will complain when races are swapped supposedly because it's not true to the source material when it comes to Disney movies or superhero movies. But then those same people, I'm talking about the very same people, also complain when Captain America is played by a black man / the Falcon, which is literally in the source material. Y'all Americans confuse me. You want it both ways all the time. Earlier in the show, I told you about how Mel Gibson is set to begin production on the sequel to The Passion of the Christ, appropriately titled The Resurrection of the Christ. Gibson, a lightning rod at times from his previous domestic issues to his prominent political involvement in California politics right now. He's making his art to express his religious and political views. And there will be zero complaints and entertainers who should keep their mouth shut when it comes to politics. It's strange because those complaints won't be levied at him. And I'm actually good with that. I am a Christian. I am fine with someone making a movie about Christ. I am fine with any and all artists espousing their religious views, their political views through their art. But it's strange how we get uptight about that. Because I have to ask the question, is Mel Gibson any different than Alec Baldwin, who we also covered tonight? Are they really any different other than their specific brand of politics? They both have had some questionable personal episodes over the years, right? Can we agree on that, right? They're very vocal in their political beliefs and both engage in art commonly, which prominently features their beliefs in politics. Either we are okay with actors, musicians, actors, and dare I say, even entertainment companies engaging in free expression, or we aren't. Are we really going to try to argue that Rachel Zegler is not accurate to portray Snow White, but Jim Caviezel as Jesus is? Are we really going to try to make that argument? Boycott Disney, but support Mel? No. If it's about the principle, you can't have it both ways. If you want the freedom of artists to express themselves, then they will express themselves. And now you can either support or not support, but you can't say one is right and the other is wrong. Not if you're trying to stand on principle. Let me go further with this. Let me go back to politics and art. You think, since we talk about movies all the time, you think Rocky IV, with Rocky beating Ivan Drago of the Soviet Union during the height of the Cold War in the real world, was not a political statement? You think the complete Bob Dylan music catalog wasn't a political statement? Stevie Wonder and Paul McCartney's Ebony and Ivory, that was a political statement too. I'm here to tell you, you didn't know that. It actually was. Marvin Gaye, Bob Marley. Art in all of its various forms has always been a political form of expression. Maybe you just weren't paying attention. Hey, Mark Ronner, did you know? I know you knew, but I'm just going to put this in here anyway. Star Trek was a political statement about achieving a post-racial, post-capitalism society. They just said it in the future and in space.
If you didn't see that, you didn't understand a thing you watched.
The first interracial kiss in television history was where, Mark Ronner?
Kirk and Uhura.
All in the Family was a political statement on race relations. Even The Cosby Show was a political statement. I bet you didn't know that. It was specifically done to fight against the negative stereotypes of African Americans, showing a complete black family unit with two professional parents with postgraduate degrees. And people criticized it as being, quote unquote, unrealistic. But that's part of the reason why Bill Cosby did that show. You ever watch Blue Bloods? Oh, that's definitely a show with political undertones. And by the way, it's a great show. But there's definitely a political bent to it. Same is true with Law and Order, just in the other direction. Both of them are great shows, by the way. But art, as in music, television, movies, they have always been expressions of our individual and collective politics. And you know what? It's okay. But it's not okay to suggest that here in the 2020s that artists or entertainers need to not express their individual views or not create art expressing those views. Because to do so, in a word, is un-American. For KFI AM 640, I'm Mo Kelly.
No need to keep hitting refresh. We got this. KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.